Hello YouTube fans and friends that follow our crazy adventures. I haven't posted in a while. Not that we've been busy, just kind of enjoying our time alone, spending it with our friends and family. I just got a Misfits box, so I'm going through the produce. The kids are playing nicely. We did get a new pet. Got Ned over there. See him and Alpha hanging out. Oh, look, they're best buds already. I put some pothos in there. Looks like it's faring well. It's hot today. What is it? What's the temperature?
86.
Ugh. How much is it inside?
90.
90. It's 90 in the bus. How the hell is that possible?
90 in the bus.
90 in the bus and 86 outside. We're in full sun, so we just get hit with it directly.
4 degrees down.
Anyways, I have to make yogurt because I went to reach in for some yogurt and the quart is basically at the last, like, not even a quarter cup.
You're welcome.
So I've got my starter from last week's batch. I'm actually gonna go ahead and pull that one out, put it on the counter, and I'm gonna grab my milk so it can kind of come to room temp. Oh boy, putting too many things on the counter. All right, so that's gonna go to room temp, and we'll do some yogurt after I put that mess away. I've been making this same yogurt probably now for 4 months. I started back in Valdosta, Georgia. I was just interested in lowering our costs because they can go through a quart of yogurt in one sitting, and that usually runs like $3.50 to $4.50 depending on the brand. And I was just over it. So I decided to do some research and figure out how much cheaper it would be just using a gallon of milk. So a gallon of milk is usually like anywhere, depending where you're at, $2.30 to like $2.70, maybe even a little bit higher. Regardless, it's got a gallon of milk in there, and a gallon of milk will make about just under 4 quarts. Because I like to strain mine out, and when you strain it out, that makes Greek yogurt, which is just a little bit thicker, and the kids kind of like that one better. Just depends on my mood. I found it to be really, really simple. You need a starter culture, which mine is maybe 3 months old. I've had to switch it a couple times, maybe 2 months old now. Because sometimes it goes bad if you forget to use it and make yogurt. The starter will go sour, and I haven't figured out if I can freeze that and then start it up. It just hasn't occurred to me yet. You also need whole milk. You can have it pasteurized and homogenized, whatever the word is, just not like ultra, because it needs some of those cultures. You're going to bring the milk up to 180 to 195, somewhere in that range. My sweet spot seems to be 185. You bring it up to temperature, and then once it reaches temperature, you are good to turn it off. And then once it reaches the second temperature of cooling, you add the culture in, which is this, and you just keep a little bit every week off of each batch. You add the culture in, stir it up, and then you pour the mixture with the culture in it into your jars. I use mason jars because it makes it easy and they fit inside of my dehydrator, which is the method of incubation that I chose to use. If you're in a house, it's way easier to incubate. You just can put it in your oven with the oven light on overnight, and that's like apparently ideal temperatures for incubation. I, on the other hand, live on a bus. Well, that's my oven. There's no oven light on it, so I don't get the luxury of just setting it in there. We have one of those 5-gallon big water jug cooler thingies. We fill up with water with like lemonade and stuff. The kids sell lemonade out of it, whatever. If you have a cooler, you just fill it up with really hot water and you sit your jars inside of it. And then you just want to monitor and keep them at around 110 degrees for 8 to 16 hours. Depends on how you want it to set, blah, 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 blah. Like, there's a lot of little personal quirks that you have to figure out when making your yogurt. So I'm gonna get started and show you the steps really quickly. Like I said, they're super easy. You bring your milk up to 185, then you let it cool to 115. Add the starter culture, which is your yogurt, just plain, not Greek. When you go to the store, don't get the Greek one. Just get plain yogurt. And you stir that bad boy in, and then you pour your mixtures into your jars. Always put some aside for your next week's starter or your next batch, which would be the other half gallon. And then you incubate for 8 to 16 hours at 110 degrees. And then from there you can decide whether or not you want to strain it. You can put sugar in the jars before they incubate if you don't mind if they're like super creamy, and then it'll be creamy and sweet. You can put sugar and vanilla in before and then still strain it and get Greek yogurt that's already creamy and sweet. When you add the sugar in after it's already been made into yogurt, it's kind of harder to mix the sugar into the yogurt because it's so cold. But I mean, kids also eat it plain with honey and haven't complained. So yeah. Our milk is inside of my new little enamel cast iron pot. I had another cast iron pot and we decided to get rid of that. And then I was also doing the yogurt and heating up the milk inside of one of those enamel coated metal pots, kind of like the high stock pots, and that just kept burning my milk. So I invested in getting a nice white, so it's like milk so white inside of this white pot, and then everything else I cook is really bright. Anyways, I got myself a new pot so that I could properly do this. And while that's heating up to 185, and I already put away the other half gallon in my reusable glass jar, this will not go to waste as well. So recently we shared on Instagram that we found a method for kind of helping us out with our trash. With 6 people on here, I don't even know how it's possible, but some days we will throw out like an entire 13-gallon size bag of trash. And I was feeling bad about it. So a friend of mine recommended eco bricking, which is where you take your plastic item, a large plastic container that's gonna go to the trash anyways, and you shove it as full as you can with trash. So the drawer itself is gross because I've got too many kids, but I'm gonna show you. So we have this system going on right now. That should actually be in the burn bag back there, and that was wet, that's why that was in there. All right, so the burn box stays under my desk. Hi, Jacob. Bye, Jacob. The burn box stays behind or underneath my desk, and then we have trash that can't be composted, composting, whatever. Stuff that can't go in the compost bin, big plastics, glass, every once in a while I break jars. These are our 2 jars that we're using for compost. Kids just throw them in here, that's why there's like some stuff down here. And then the containers in which we're packing with, and a little tamper. Johnny got this nail, it works perfectly for shoving. This one has been in here for a little while now. Maybe 2 weeks now, and it's pretty packed full. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this one into the trash can and then replace it with this one so that we have, and the inside of that's shiny because we painted it with high gloss sealer. So now we will throw whatever plastic we can, we'll shove as much as we can in there, And then this has really limited us to maybe one of the Walmart trash bag size trashes that we throw out maybe every other day. Grocery day is a little bit harder, depends on what's going on when we go shopping for groceries. But for the most part, we're getting better about shoving all of our plastic into this. Now, like, it's almost jam-packed. I could afford to pack more in here. I might leave it on the counter and finish packing it out with today and tomorrow's plastic items. So everything that goes in there is plastic. Pretty much plastic, all plastic. I don't think I really put anything else in there. But we try to use our Ziploc bags, any Ziploc bags that we were using for food, and they're done. Like this one that I picked off the ground a second ago. We'll use this to put trash into, and then that'll go into the bigger trash bag. So we're just trying to minimize our waste. It's definitely not gonna be zero waste. I think it's awesome that these families can do, you know, one jar full of trash. Like, especially with traveling and how much groceries I have. We have our produce shipped to us weekly from Misfits Marketplace, and their entire package and packaging is all compostable. God, that word sounds so weird when I say it. It's all compostable. So that's nice. And we just burn, like I said, we have the burn box. So anything that needs to go into the burn box can go into the burn box, and it's right as rain. So back to yogurt. I'm gonna give it a quick stir because it was heating up, and then I'm gonna wash my hands. All right, so that's heating up. Oh, I don't know what temperature it's at because my thermometer is not on. All right, so I have one of these Taylor little thermometers. Take the little thing off the back. And I'm gonna set that to 185 so I know when that reaches temperature. I'm gonna give it a little stir because milk has a tendency, it'll stick to the bottom. I'm really enjoying this cast iron because it seems to not really stick at the bottom. It'll collect kind of and thicken, but it's not sticking like it was in my other pot that I'll use for, whoops, for canning. So yeah, so I'm gonna leave this guy down closer just so he can get, he's already been sitting out, so he's closer to room temperature, because that needs to go into that when it's at 115 degrees. That's become a weekly staple now. So we get probably at least a gallon a week, and I will make half a gallon into 2-ish quarts of yogurt for the first 2 to 3 days it'll last. Oh, we're at temperature. That was quick. It goes really quick. I have noticed that in the cast iron. So that's temperature. Turn that off. I'm gonna turn the flame off, and then it's just gonna sit, and I'll turn it back on a little bit. I'll come by it and occasionally stir it, only because just the heat stays in there really well. So I brought it again, 185, and then it will sit and cool to 115. Like I said, I make probably 2 quarts every 3 days, and then I'll do about a gallon jug a week. I would like to use the other half of the milk to learn how to make cheese or some type of farmer's cheese or something like that. I just haven't gotten there yet. So I have collected some whey. We use that. That's the byproduct from straining out the yogurt and making it into Greek yogurt. And that can be added. It's got a lot of protein, minerals, and vitamins in it, so you can mix that into your smoothies as liquid. If you have any questions, drop them below, and I'll make sure I follow up in the next video. I think the next video is gonna be about how to make nut milk. Seriously cracks me up. Live action. I just put these almonds into their jar and refilled it. Now, take that. And just go ahead and shove it in there. Voila! Pico freaking. But I did get a request to make nut milk. I was making my own soy milk for a bit there, and then the kids didn't really like the soy the soy beanie taste that it produces. Whatever, they just don't know. Well, I'm only making soy milk when it's in small batches, basically for myself for like the morning or something like that, and that'll last 2 to 3 days in the fridge before it just kind of gets funky. And that's something that you need to pay attention to when you're making more homemade stuff. It doesn't have the preservatives like things that come from the store to sit shelf stable. I've had to get better about how I track what's going on in my kitchen. So I think I'm glistening. It's a hot day. But there's a system and you have to track it and you have to stay on top of it because stuff can spoil. And with so many children, and very varying. So many children with their varied palates. Some are very bougie like this one. Others just want a cheeseburger every time they can.
Hot and spicy.
Yeah, she's got her own specific ramen stash. It's a tiny fridge, so I mean, realistically, it's not that bad. I can't imagine when I get into a house and it's a bigger system and we have animals again, and we're producing our own food. That'll just make everything exponentially larger.
Tetris sales, come to me.
I'm the Tetris queen when it comes to the kitchen.
She really is, though. We'll try to like shove things and she's like, what is this mess? And we come back, we open the fridge and nothing falls out. We're just like, well.
It's called skills. Yep. You wait forever for it to reach 115 and then you almost miss it. We're at 113. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix in the culture to the whole batch. Some people like to take out a cup of the milk, heated milk, and then mix the culture in it. I just dump the whole jar in there and then give it a swirly do, and then it's good. I'm gonna whisk this a little bit better because I don't think all my little pieces of yogurt broke apart. Give it a good stir. And then I got my funnel, wide mouth funnel, and my jar of original yogurt starter. And I'm just gonna use a ladle, fill this one up. This one I will not strain when it comes down to it. It will just sit. So I'll fill that up. And then cap it, and it'll be ready for the dehydrator. I'm gonna do the same with this one. Whoops. I'm a slob in the kitchen. We're not gonna say anything about that. Okay, so 1 pint. 1 quart, sorry. Alright, so my dehydrator lives outside. So I'm gonna take my 3 jars, put them outside. Oh look, the kids are still playing nicely outside. And that's always nice. Better not be eating cardboard, you dingus.
See?
Oh, they're playing with the packaging from their my Misfits box. Don't be.
Hey, it tastes kind of good. Beep beep.
All right, so gonna leave that alone. We're gonna continue over to my dehydrator, which is currently going. All right, so that was the gist of making yogurt. Tomorrow morning we'll check on it, give it a little taste test. strain it out most likely. But for now, I have to make dinner, which was requested mac and cheese, which is a-okay. Didn't have to clean the pot out. Added more water. Milky water won't hurt noodles when they boil. And then the leftover water will get used in one of the plants. I'm getting super crunchy, but it's okay. Now I'm processing things. So I've got plantain. No, I don't. I have some mullein. I'm gonna process down for some tea. And then I have flowers and dandelion leaves. I can't for the life of me remember what this is. It's not jewelweed, it's not knotweed. What was it? My little lavender bud. Let's see what it is. Where's my phone? Cleavers! Gosh, I don't know why that took me so long. Alright, so I got some cleavers. They're all dried and ready to be processed. And then chickweed that I'm gonna powder and possibly use for some soap. I'm not sure yet. But I'll have it. All I'm doing basically is following, you know, Mountain Rose Herbs or any of the other herb with Star West Botanicals and Frontier Co-op. I've just been checking out the site, reading up their information on each product, and figuring out if I can wildcraft it and forage it myself. And then from there, I process it, put it away, like this wood nettle. It's not stinging nettle, very similar properties, but I just had the capability of finding wood nettle, and I haven't found stinging nettle yet. So, just making do with what I can, because why not?
I got my ender pearls out of my inventory. Matthew, are you gonna delete that one? No.
Girls are putting away dishes.
How long are you gonna be in there, Matthew? So I can still
I had to pause for a second. Kids are playing on iPads this morning, and I am checking
I'm
on
gonna try and get you.
Hello Brightness, the yogurt, cat in box. I swear, it's like a thing. Cats find a box and they have to go in it. All right, so it's the morning. The dehydrator probably stopped in the middle of the night sometime. And then I just leave it in the dehydrator until I get up and I'm ready for it. If it was hot out, like summertime, I'd worry, but right now we're in Green Mountain, North Carolina, and the mornings are still in the 60s. So added more things yesterday, got some mullein leaves. I got a bunch of herbs out of the garden, some sage, some more dandelion leaf, curly cilantro or parsley, I can't remember. Parsley, my mint. Those will stay in here because they're still wet. Herbs. And we've got our yogurts.
Just walk up to someone and stab them.
Like this? Or like this? Ow! Ow, it kicked me in the ass. Alright, back to yogurt.
Yeah, grab them.
I'm sorry, excuse me, what?
What?
Excuse me?
What? Excuse
Woo.
me?
Got this one in her bed.
White one. I'm talking about Mactivia and That's
What?
Mactivia in vines.
Is that its genius name? Genus name?
Yeah.
Genius name? Said the wrong one. For me, I have a bowl. I have a strainer. Sits right on top. And then I use cheesecloth just so that my yogurt doesn't go through the strainer holes. And then, my favorite part, chunk it out.
Okay, just go here, go all the way down.
Because might as well. Oh yeah. Add the vanilla. I'd say it's about a teaspoon each. Cheesecloth. I just tie it, and then I have these hooks. See, hook 1, hook 2, hook 3, and then coming over here between this is to dry my cheesecloth. Sometimes I drain over the sink too, depending. I have another one that sits back here, up here, and over here. So I just use those to hang my cheesecloth. So I'm gonna go ahead and tie my cheesecloth real quick and then hang it up. All right, so crisscross applesauce. I just do a double knot on the top one. And then the secondary side, I do the second knot, or the first part of the second knot underneath, which I'm having troubles. Okay? And then I double knot on top of them. Okay, so now I got a double knot. Now that's holding it well. Oh, Scheiße, that's heavy. I'm gonna go ahead and hang it.
No, that's gonna be open. So of course it's gonna get out here.
I don't need this one any longer.
We're spilling it all outside the container.
It's okay. And there it goes.
No, we're not gonna open that fence.
So we've got it hanging. It's gonna drain and give me all of its way. Oh, all the ways. So yeah, that's the setup. Bag hanging. And then they'll go back into these 2 jars with their yogurt. I'll throw some, I just use regular white sugar because honestly, it just is easier. All right. Yogurt is still dripping kind of, but it's basically done draining. I've got my jar of collected whey. So, got my bottle of whey. Got a new whey. And we're gonna take this down. And then we're just gonna release it.
What?
Beautiful yogurt.
Going over the chest.
Alright, so strain it out. So this will keep in the fridge. I'm gonna find some recipes that I use today. Alright. I'm gonna add some sugar. It's like not quite a quarter of a cup, but it's just less. Yes, I'm getting ready to go tan, so I'm in my bathing suit. Mix it up. You see this shit? I'm not even done making the batch, and she's already got a bowl ready for some. Watch, the other kids will come too.
Leave me alone.
Dieting my
I
ass.
haven't had breakfast.
It's not dieting. Starving. Taste it. Let me know. Really? 5?
Tastes great like always.
What?
Tastes good like always.
I can't hear you. Say it loud and proud to this camera. She didn't want to say it.
Did I?
Yeah, I did it. Said I won't.
Well, they have short hair, not like hair.
Ooh, yeah, it tastes good.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love this mixer. Gets into the jars. Works great. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Yogurt. It's strawberries from Misfit Marketplace. I've cut up for your enjoyment. Look how nice I am. Such a good mom. What would they do without me? Would you? Yeah, all right. You guys will be eating Subway. You only can do that shit because I taught you how to do that shit.
Exactly.
Peace.